marketing free, and all we asked in exchange were two things. First of all, everybody had to offer scholarships, which they did anyhow because they're decent do-gooding people. And then they had to contribute to the regular curriculum day, some nominal amount. So here where we had minimal art, theater, dance, music, now we had more than we ever could have dreamed of. It was no cost to the taxpayer and virtually no cost to CPS. All we had to do was figure out how to fund one person, one paid salary position to manage this community school, because a volunteer mommy cannot run a community center. So Jane Addams Hull House Association was our not-for-profit partner, and then we had the Jewish Community Center ran a kids club in the building as well. So instead of casting 700 kids out into the universe every day, we just invited 30 to 50 different instructors into the school every day, which makes total sense. So every day, there are close to 300 kids at Nettlers, 350 kids every day after school there till 6 o'clock, doing all the same stuff that you would have had to leave work to take your kid to do. So we thought we were pretty clever because we freed the soccer mom and we freed us from having our weekends cluttered up with all of this junk, right? Not that it's junk, it's all valuable stuff, but still, like, why? The children are already there. But the other thing it also did was it gave normal people in a community the ability to come in and teach their craft. So let's say this gentleman here wanted to teach photography, but he doesn't have a photography studio, right? Or he's not teaching those classes, but he lives in the neighborhood and he has a skill to impart. Now he can come in as a contract partner for Whole House with their insurance, their TB test, their background check. As a volunteer, he can charge for his services or not. And now he can teach a photography course in the afternoon. And the reason why that rubric was so important to set up is because it gave a neighborhood a way to become involved, a way to teach what they wanted to. We had heard about this crazy thing, this Italian village, this Romeo Emilia village, where all the villagers came and taught stuff. And we thought, we've got a lot of great villagers in my little village. Surely they could teach stuff if only there was an avenue open for them to do that. And now, anytime you walk into my building, all day long, almost a third of the adults you see in the building are parents. And it's really quite remarkable. Schools can become a community school by becoming a traditional community school. There's a Federation for Community Schools. You can look up communityschools.org. Or you can also sort of wing it on your own, too. Like, you don't have to have some magic bullet. But what it did is it meant that Susan's kinky inclination became the mandate of the school. The school was supposed to invite the neighborhood in. That became what we were supposed to do, and that was enormously helpful. So if you can become a community school, it doesn't change your school any, it just gives it a really nice sweater to wrap around itself as it goes through the winter. In terms of the academic curriculum team, we walked into an extraordinarily toxic teaching environment. We had one teacher who had a restraining order against her for hitting students in her classroom. We had some teachers who muttered obscenities as they walked down the hallways. It really was, kind of Bananarama. And all the things that the curriculum team wanted, the most important thing they actually wanted from Susan was a guarantee that we could have a parent in the classroom every day. And Susan said, sure. We were too green to know that that's unheard of in any school, public or private. But what that did we have a parent in the classroom every day? No, of course we didn't. But it did mean that we were there videotaping teachers and popping in and out and having university people show in and out and stuff like that. And what that did was twofold. First of all, it really helped mollify a really skittish population that someone was minding the store. Because if I'm in your kid's class and you're in my kid's class, how much damage could they really do? And then the other thing it did, which was really remarkable and happened far faster than Susan or I ever could have anticipated. I think the PC way to put it is the teachers who did not share our educational vision have since found suitable accommodation elsewhere. And it happened very, very quickly. Within the first 2 years of this movement, every single ineffective teacher jumped ship voluntarily on their own. Now, did we take some tactics that might have been considered, probably not terribly appropriate? Yes. Did I write about them? No. But that was before Jeffrey Canada gave us license to say that there are some bad teachers. When we wrote the book, you weren't allowed to say that. You couldn't even utter that word. And the reality is it doesn't take too many, I don't care whether you're calling them bad, ineffective, subpar, whatever, disgruntled teachers to really contaminate a staff. It doesn't take too many disruptive forces because schools are really weird, wackadoodle places. And I can say this as a non-educator, as a normal person who's been in a school, they are very, very strange cultures. So it doesn't take too many really high-powered, controlling negative forces to hijack that model. I would put it's not like I hate teachers. I love, love, love teachers. I love good teachers. I would put my kids' education, and I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and they both go to Nettlehurst and have since preschool. I would put their education on par with any private school in this country. I believe it is that good. And Nettlehurst has been able to do this without tracking, without selected enrollment, without a gifted program. It is a normal, regular public school. But what we said to Susan is, you don't have, run a school, run it well. You don't have to be a decorator or a party planner or a community organizer or an accountant or any of that stuff. We'll figure that out. We will help you do that stuff. But do run a school, and she delivered in spades. In terms of the marketing and enrichment team, we found that you could rebrand and reposition a school as easy as cereal. Oh no, but you can. And but it is strategic. You can't just say, Nettlehurst, not so crappy, look again. It's a really strategic, thoughtful thing about how you rebrand a school to a very discerning public. The last team was the fundraising team. We dissolved our fundraising team in the first 6 weeks. We realized that nobody wanted to give money to a failing Chicago public school, and the moms in the park didn't want to be shaken down either because they were investing so much of their sweat equity in the project. However, 3 years into this movement, 4 years into this movement, we got a lot of parents in who took it upon themselves to figure out how this fundraising racket works. And there are winners and there's losers, and it's important to understand how to make deep, mutually beneficial partnerships. And we could talk forever and a day about how unfair it is that schools are being asked to self-finance. Like, that's a different discussion. The fact that they are, and that teachers actually cost money, and if you don't want split classes, you're going to have to buy them with real cash, then it behooves you to figure out how that works. And there's a whole chapter in the book about how to do that. However, one thing that I want to say is that somebody might walk into our school now and look at Nate Berkus just redesigned our teaching, delicious Oprah's Nate Berkus, who's totally delicious, redesigned our teaching kitchen. And now somebody might walk in and look at the fancy subway tiles and the stainless steel appliances and look at all the stuff and think that the stuff is what matters. The stuff doesn't matter. It is utterly inconsequential. The kitchen that we built, the one that Nate replaced, the one that our community volunteers built from dumpsters, that kitchen was just as valuable because teachers were there cooking with kids. It was a community hub. It was this fun, wackadelic, really great, fun place. And so money didn't power the Nettlehurst revolution. People powered it. Sounds like they're slaughtering pigs out there. So just 2 criticisms real quick. I might as well hit them now before questions happen, and then we'll watch the video. 2 criticisms we frequently get. One is that good schools are the inevitable byproduct of gentrification. They aren't. You look all across this country, and there's a great school on one corner and a school that's a disaster on stilts 4 blocks over. And the question is why? And it's usually twofold. Usually the principal's, kind of a train wreck, or the neighborhood hasn't bought in, or both. So, it is across all class lines, in all kinds of neighborhoods where you have successful schools, and I kid you not, the only thing that matters is engagement. It is the only thing that matters. The second criticism we get frequently, and I was in DC, and there was this uber-respected education expert in this room full of really important people, and she said to me, I'm sure your school is great, and you mommies sound great, and that's all great, 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 great. But until this project is brought to scale, it really isn't germane to the public policy debate on education. And all I could stammer in this room full of experts was really, I thought mommies had already gone to scale. I thought we'd scaled that problem already. And the idea that moms or dads or normal people cannot affect change is so, like maddening to me. It's just maddening. Schools aren't anything more than a collection of adults trying to do right by kids. That's it. Nothing more than that. And I have yet to meet a mom who wouldn't walk through fire for her kid. People may make different choices than I'd make. They might not be able to articulate things exactly the same way, but everybody's trying to do right by their kids. And the question is trying to harness the energy of a neighborhood to turn a school into the heart of the community. So the last thing I just want to say before we watch this quick little video is just that we have a very short window of opportunity here. Right now, people are talking about school reform more seriously than we have in decades. Between Waiting for Superman and Race to Nowhere and Lunch Line and all of these movies, suddenly it's in the national consciousness that maybe, actually, this is something that's within our control. We've heard for so long that the fate of public schools is beyond our control, that there's nothing we possibly could do to fix it. Short of being Jeffrey Canada or Mark Zuckerberg, there's nothing that a normal person could do. And that's not true. There's tons of stuff people can do, and they can do it in short order, because change is not incremental. It does not take decades. It can happen overnight. It's happening overnight in Chicago, not just at my school, at lots and lots of schools. And I've been touring the country at lots of schools all over the country too. So I feel like if everybody just fixed what was in their own backyard, we have a chance of real systemic change. And if people who had the biggest interest, the most vested interest in their schools succeeding, if we could harness that power of a community, then I really think we could do transformative things and not wait for the giant garbage barge to turn around. Because, there are a lot of really smart people working on that, but for me, from what I've seen, all change is local. It's nothing more than this. Like this group of people that's here, and the 20 people you all know, and because of Facebook and social marketing networking now, the chance that this community can do this for themselves is like here. It's all in this room. And I can tell you our group of people looked about like this. It was this range of color, this range of skills, this range of stuff. And the thought was, well, for heaven's sakes, surely, it's elementary school, how hard could it be, right? It's not rocket science. I can assure you I'm not Joan of Arc, and they're versions of me. Beth is a version of me. And the people I've met today are a version of me. And it's the same issues and the same stuff. And is it hard? Yes. Obviously, our project was not all rainbows and sunshine. It is hard work. But it is doable. It is totally doable. And it was a really lovely, joyful ride.